here, just waiting on the stream to start. Okay, I believe we are live. We are live, or I am live, rather, as the case may be. Let me do a quick audio check, just so we're good. We are live, or I am live, rather. Okay, we are good to go. Today, this is, first of all, this is like the first Hoosier Hardware type show that I've done in a while. So I wanted to just do this. I'm going to try to do them on Tuesdays because Tuesday is a blah day for me, and it just seems like a good thing to do on a Tuesday. So I'm going to attempt to do this on Tuesdays. I'm going to try to keep it between that 7 and 8:30 hour. I totally have not linked this. So I should do that, should I not? I think I should. I think I should. I think I should. Did I not change these settings? Oh goodness. Sorry guys, I am attempting to get the link going here. Here we go.
When you do what you love for a living,
oh hush. So, twitter.com. Wow, I have not logged in. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get kicked off here. If you would like to contact or interact here, the chat is up on my left side here. Also, my Twitter feed is up in case you happen to be into that sort of thing and tweeting. So feel free to interact with me that way. A few things we're going over tonight. First of all, the Dishonored 2 public debut is EGX. So that's exciting news. And I'll briefly mention that. We have some news about the iPhone 7 rumors, and I'll sort of go over my my list, and I actually have a Verge article for that gives a good list of things that are coming down the pipe for the iPhone 7. And then also we have just a very brief overview of Tech Syndicate and what's all going on there for you guys that have been out of the loop, or if you're out of the loop, or if you don't care. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. So, with all that being said, yes, I should pull this up. Wonder if I change this to gaming. So I should change this back to science and technology. Cool. So, on we go. On with the show. First up, like I already mentioned, actually before we get going, I know this is horribly, horribly done right now. But I do want to go ahead and roll the intro. Maybe. Roll that intro. Hoosier Hardware. Yay, tech is fun. Okay. So, here we go. Dishonored 2's public release, or public debut rather, not public release, be very clear about that, is going to be at EGX. The article mentions that is going to be on September 22nd. It's an expo there, and we are all very excited to see some gameplay of Dishonored 2. Reason being, if you're unfamiliar with Dishonored, I encourage you highly to sort of take a closer look at Dishonored, because it is such a good game. It sort of gives you a little bit of the art style similar to something like something almost like a Borderlands feel to it, and it gives you a little bit of the Hitman feel in that it sort of puts you in a setting and it gives you that sandbox, and there are so many different ways that you can do things, but also it gives you the option of going through the entire game without killing a single person, and then the outcome will change based on your actions throughout the game. And it's also driven by a super, super, super awesome storyline. So, highly encourage you to take a look at that. It's super, super fun. And this is one of the top games that I am personally ready for the upcoming year. I know it's just going to be a great game, and we, and by we I mean the Dishonored community in general, I think has really been clamoring for this. In addition to the things I've already mentioned, Dishonored also gives you sort of that BioShock feel in that you can or you have certain powers that you gain throughout the game that allows you to manipulate settings. So it sort of combines several different things it's got going on there. It's just a super unique game. Cannot wait for it to actually launch. It is scheduled for the worldwide release on November 11th. That is, in case you didn't know, Bethesda almost always, or not almost always, but a lot of times Bethesda releases their games on November 11th. If you remember, Skyrim was a November 11th game. I can't remember if Fallout 4 release. It was a November 10th game. So November is a release, sort of like the release month for Bethesda, and I think that's largely because it gets the games out a little bit before Black Friday, and they can really hit that Christmas shopping season really heavily. So Dishonored 2, cannot wait to actually see that here in a couple weeks. That's really all there is to say about that. I want to move on to the main topic tonight, though, and that main topic being iPhone 7 rumors. Okay, so the iPhone 7 is getting ready to launch. It's obviously going to be the big showstopper for tomorrow, which is Wednesday, September 7th. So obviously this is going to be like the big tech news of the week. There's a few things that we already know to expect. The number one thing is this no headphone jack. Oh boy. So that 3.5mm jack for the headphone mic combo is expected to be removed. Now, the reason for that, depending on who you ask, some might say it's a money grab by Apple to get or to be able to sell licenses for headphones that are compatible with the iPhone or to third parties, or also to get people to buy that extra, maybe a dongle or something like that. But realistically, what it lets you do is it lets you make the phone slightly thinner, which I don't know that anyone's actually clamoring for at this point, but maybe they are. But the bigger thing that it allows you to do is it frees up quite a bit of space in the inside of a phone. So if you actually take a look at this, oh look, my intro played. Sorry. If you actually take a look at a headphone jack. That thing actually has quite a bit of depth within it. So I'm going to show you on my Nexus. It would go in this far. So it allows you, by getting rid of that, it allows you to make the phone or use that space for something else. Potentially a larger battery, which I know everyone clamors for every year. In fact, one of the things that blows my mind is that Apple doesn't make a phone slightly thicker and give us a bigger battery. Instead, they tend to make it smaller, give us a smaller battery. If you're one of the people that are on the iPhone 6S or back on the iPhone 6, battery life is okay because iOS has extremely good with battery life compared to Android, but I would like a slightly thicker phone. If you gave me a bigger battery, I would be okay with that. One of the things I like about my Nexus 6P is how big the battery is. It doesn't exactly last forever. It's still not great battery life, but it usually gets me through most of the day. So the biggest news is obviously the headphone jack just being completely gone. So all audio will be passed through out the lightning connector. And then you will have to have the digital to analog converter, the DAC, will be outside of the phone then. Probably in, or not probably, but it will have to be in the headphones, because that lightning connector is going to output the signal in a digital format, so that DAC has to be put outside the phone. So that gives you a couple advantages and a couple disadvantages. Obviously, other than the space you're saving inside, it also takes the DAC outside from all the electrical interference that might be going on within the phone. If you're an audiophile, that might be a big deal to you. There's already been some headphones that have come out that are available for the lightning connector that also double with the ability to play off the 3.5mm jack. And the consensus with those typically is that they definitely sound better coming out of the lightning connector, and that's because it allows the headphones themselves with its own DAC to convert that signal, and it allows it to drive a little bit better sound to those cans. So other than that, what I'm really curious to see is the adoption rate for the industry following this. So third-party makers, will there be enough iPhones out there, and will enough people clamor for them, for third parties to really feel like they should sell those? Or, and what I suspect is going to happen, will Apple just sell a crap ton of their own in-house earpods? And I think that's probably what's going to happen most. Because the problem is people that already have really nice headphones will probably be able to just buy some sort of dongle, and that's probably what they'll get by with. And that'll be comical to me, just because I really feel like eventually this sort of thing is going to stick. The problem now is that this standard has been around for so long. A 3.5mm jack has been around for so long that I'm not sure that dongles are really moving forward. And the other thing is, because USB is so prevalent in everything from computers to non-Apple phones and tablets and really every other device in every other category, I really feel like the Type-C connector, USB Type-C, is the way that I would like to see digital audio handed over to a pair of headphones and converted that way. So I'd be really curious to see if Apple maybe someday, maybe not this generation, maybe not next generation, but maybe they move away from their own proprietary connector. Apple being Apple, I would be surprised if that happens, but it would be really, really cool to see if Apple could get on board with the Type-C connector instead of their Lightning connector. I doubt it'll happen, but it wouldn't be completely out of left field, because they do use Type-C for like the MacBook that is out. So we'll see with that. So that's the big rumor. The design I'm not really that excited about, because frankly, I'm seeing if it mentions it here, but a clickless home button. See, that would be an interesting one for me. Apple's, per The Verge, Apple's expected to make a very subtle but very big change to the home button. It won't click. So it's going to be at least according to this, it's expected to be a haptic button, and it'll use that same technology to make it feel like you're pushing it, even though you're not. That's the same sort of thing that Apple uses with its MacBooks, and the trackpad there, as well as, just the trackpad actually. But I'm not really sure if there's a necessity for that. But again, it looks like it has the idea of keeping thinness in mind, because if you do that, you don't have to have that button push that goes down, so you can possibly make the phone slightly thinner because you don't have to worry about button travel. Not sure if that really makes a big deal to anybody, but if the button feels like you're pushing it as well as the trackpad does, that the MacBook got for reviews, and I've never used a MacBook, so I don't know how well that works. But all the reviewers have always said that that's a great tactile feedback, even though you're not actually pushing it. So that'd be really interesting to see how the reviewers feel about the home button being exactly that way. Some of these other things aren't as big a deal. Goodbye 16 gigabytes, that one is a big deal for a lot of people, because one of the big complaints has always been with 16 gigabytes of internal storage after formatting the operating system and everything else, you don't actually have that much room for the operating, or for everything outside the operating system. So pictures and apps mostly, and videos, that sort of thing. So it looks like this year's iPhone might actually be offered in 32, 128, and 256 gigs. I don't know if they're going to completely abandon the 64 gig. We'll sort of see with that. But if they do abandon the 16 gig, first of all, you might ask why they would do, well, other than the obvious, it's just better for the consumer to just get rid of it. But also, at this point, the price difference for Apple to produce iPhones with 16 gigs or 32 gigs probably is virtually nil. Or it's possible even it might be more expensive at this point to produce 16 gig iPhones, because there might be much less production of 16 gigabyte storage versus the 32 gig storage. And if there's much more production for the 32 gig, it's possible it's actually cheaper for Apple to source 32 gigabyte NAND storage than it is 16 gigabyte. So that might be a completely cost-driven thing. Regardless, if you get those large capacities, especially like your 256 gig, that would open up, and the article mentions this, but that would open up high-resolution video as well, more realistically. Whereas if you have a 4K capable camera on the iPhone, but you only have 16 gigs of internal storage, and of course you don't have an SD card slot that you can expand it with, so it's really pointless at that point, because you can only take 30 seconds. I'm exaggerating, but 30 seconds of 4K video. So hopefully that's a good move. Kiss from Portugal. Nice, thanks. Kiss back from Indiana, I guess. Wink, wink. So, that's the big rumors with the iPhone. Now I guess we can move on to the Apple Watch, which I care even less about than I care about the iPhone, because I'm an Android guy. Nexus. By the way, that's a D-brand skin, and it's amazing. It's been on there for a while now. Doesn't peel. It's great. So, I'm not an Apple person, but Apple Watch should be super, super better, I guess, maybe. It's probably going to be a little bit more powerful. Hopefully, probably a little bit better in regard to battery life, hopefully, that sort of thing. Basically everything that we're looking for in a watch should be better with the Apple Watch. One thing to keep an eye on is GPS being added to the Apple Watch. Normally, if you don't know or you don't own a smartwatch, which I don't blame you, I own one. I have an original Moto 360. But what you may not know, or you may be aware of, I don't know, either way, could go either way. But basically, the GPS is handled by the phone normally. So, like with my watch, I can use it to navigate, but my phone has to be with me. So I'll be in the car, and I can look down at my watch, and it'll tell me, like, there's a little arrow pointing what direction I'll turn next, how long away it is. But there's always a little bit more of a lag on the watch, because it's communicating through the phone, and it's using the phone's GPS, and it doesn't update quite as fast as the phone. So there's always a little bit of a lag with that regard. So adding GPS allows you to, without your phone being around, with the watch on your wrist, you could still navigate around, which could be sort of useful. I mean, maybe you're out and about, maybe you lose your phone and you're not really sure where you are. I could see where that could be at least somewhat useful, so I could give Apple a little bit of props for that. Last thing that I want to mention with Apple and their event, and this is, again, an event for tomorrow, September 7th. The MacBook Pro. Hopefully that line gets updated. Please. Apple, please. MacBook Air apparently looks like it's going to be updated with USB Type-C. At least that's the rumor right now. And then all the iPad news, there'll be a bunch of that. Probably a lot on the focus on the iPad Pros, that sort of thing. And probably no new Apple TV. Probably no new like Mac Mini or anything like that. Probably no new Mac Pros or iMacs. Probably not an event focused on the computer side of things, although you never know. But keep an eye on for basically the ultra portable devices of Apple's lines, your iPhones, iPads, and your lightweight like MacBook and MacBook Pros and MacBook Airs, that sort of thing. So that's what Apple has in store for us. Now, before we go, and this is a topic I hesitated to put in here, but this is the Tech Syndicate update. For those of you that don't know, very brief. Tech Syndicate is a very large tech YouTube channel brand. They have their own website, their own forums. It's a very active community. Very, very awesome. Right now, they are going through some serious shifting, we'll call it, in the works. So, and by the way, I'm going to lead with this disclaimer, and that is that I, being in Indiana and having no affiliation with these humans, know nothing about anything with this. So I'm giving you an overview of everything I've read to this point. I might make a speculation here and there, but essentially I'm just giving you the information that's available on the internet. I would encourage you to go research this on Reddit or wherever else, because you can inform yourself a lot better. But here's something I read, and I'm going to point out a couple things before I launch into it. Number one thing I've read over this week is at its max, and Tech Syndicate uses Patreon. At its max, they had patrons that were pledging over, or roughly, I believe the number I read was at its max was $9,000 per month was getting pledged through Patreon to Tech Syndicate. That's a huge amount of money. That's awesome. That's really, really cool that they were able to build that type of community. Obviously, looking at Patreon now, that number is down below $3,000 per month. And the thing about Patreon is it's going to be really, really susceptible to big news from whatever brand is being given money. And the reason for that is your patrons on Patreon are the ultra dedicated that really love your brand and just want to see you and love your content and want to see you provide more content. So those are going to be the first people to react to any sort of massive thing. Now, your subscribers on YouTube, some will peel away, but the vast majority of your subscribers on YouTube probably are not going to peel away immediately. Maybe over time they do if you don't produce anything good for a long time. But there's probably plenty of people that click that subscribe button and then don't really actually visit YouTube all that often, or maybe they just don't pay attention to their subscriptions all that often, so it's not going to be as reactive. Patreon, because those are people actually giving money, are going to be a lot more reactive to what's going on. So I just want to point out that, and no, they haven't lost $6,000 in funding over the past week. I don't actually know how much funding they've lost or gained over the past week. I just wanted to point out that from its max, it's roughly just a third of what it once was. At least if the number I read of $9,000 per month was correct. So, here's the very basic overview story. So there are two branches of Tech Syndicate. Actually, they weren't really branches. It was all one brand, but there was two different offices running. There's the Kentucky branch, which would be Wendell and I believe Kane. Maybe Kane. Maybe not Kane. No, Kane wasn't in Kentucky. Anyways, in Kentucky was Wendell. And at one point, I believe Logan was based in Kentucky as well. And in fact, I'm going to give you some pictures. Wendell Tech Syndicate. Give me Wendell, please. So this is Wendell. So you may, if you've seen Tech Syndicate or many of the shows of the Tech, you'll know that this is Logan. Or not Logan, this is Wendell. So Wendell and Logan, by the way, is this dude. You may recognize him from Tiger Direct back in the day. So Logan and Wendell had a bit of a falling out, and it involved Kane as well. And we'll bring up a picture of Kane for you. So Kane is this dude. So essentially what was happening is Logan, who is apparently the primary owner of the company, Wendell owns roughly a third of it. I don't know what the percentages are across the board, but Logan is the big boss. So Logan was unhappy with the way the channel was going. The content apparently wasn't up to his standards, and according to a lot of the community coming out and talking about it lately, it wasn't up to the community standards. So they had a falling out, and it was attributed largely, and it was attributed on both sides from what I've read, to just a general lack of communication between the Kentucky side of things with Wendell and between Logan, who is in, I believe, Portland, Oregon now. Kane was released or set free or left or fired, depending on who you ask or what you read. But Kane is no longer with the company. It looks like Wendell is on his way out. Jennifer, I believe her name was Jennifer. Let's see if we can find her. Jennifer has left. I believe Pistol is still there. They've added this recent addition is Brad Hutchison, who apparently at one point interviewed with Kane and Logan for a position, and he is sort of taking up he's being given over some more of the day-to-day type of businessy operations. He's got some ideas, and this is sort of a post to the patrons on Patreon. And essentially, the company is going to be reorganized where it is going to be with a local staff. And that is, I think, largely to avoid the communication issues that they have experienced. So the big issue here is, other than Wendell, who may be the most loved of the people on Tech Syndicate because he's extremely straightforward, incredibly knowledgeable. If you've never seen a video with Wendell in it, just go and watch. He's extremely talented. Logan is extremely talented too, just in a different way. Logan is more of an entertainer. Wendell's more of the actual encyclopedia of what's going on. So if Wendell's out, like it looks like, well, he might not be out immediately, and he might do some things here and there, but if he is out, and it's basically Logan in Portland and assembling his local team, the interesting thing is going to be the Tech Syndicate Forum. Tech Syndicate Forum. Now, I believe that the forum, or at least those on the forum, would really like to see Wendell keep the forum/community. Problem with that, at least from my view, and if I'm Logan, my problem with that becomes that seems like it's an essential part of the Tech Syndicate brand. So Wendell has valued his own assets in the company, so his roughly 30% share, his roughly 1/3 of the company at about $100,000. So I'm really curious if there's a cash payout to buy out Wendell, if there is an asset buyout where something like Wendell keeps the forums, maybe. And I believe I read, and I could be completely off on this, so take this with a grain of salt. And again, encourage you to go look on the Tech Syndicate forums. There's a bunch of stuff there. Look on the Reddit, the r/Tech Syndicate there, because there's a lot there. But I believe that Wendell technically controls the forums at this point. So if that's the case, there may be more of an asset buyout where Wendell keeps the forums and keeps basically his community there, and Logan takes the brand separately. Or there may be a deal where maybe one of them gets the Tech Syndicate brand and it gets sort of split up. Here's the encouraging thing, it's 8:30 now, and I've been on here for about half an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and sort of wrap this up real quick here. But here's the encouraging thing for anybody that is watching Tech Syndicate or keeping an eye out on this sort of thing. It looks like it's getting better. And apparently this started blowing up about a week ago, and it's been a very hectic, falling out between Kane leaving and Jennifer leaving and Wendell apparently on his way out and all this reorganization going on. It's been very hectic, very public. Few things I want to point out. And this is where we transition to the opinion, and we completely get rid of facts. First of all, I know that those involved with the Tech Syndicate are talking about not really needing or wanting to share this personal side of the business, this behind-the-scenes stuff, with the community. And here's my problem with that. When you are on Patreon, okay, you're making, right now, Tech Syndicate is making just under $3,000 per month from 609 individuals. And to me, and maybe you just send this to the patrons on Patreon. Maybe this is just them thing where they just get this email or something. But to me, the people that are helping fund you deserve something more than we're just going through some reorganization, that sort of thing. I think those people deserve something. I don't know that they need to see the entire backside of everything. But I do think that and especially being a YouTube-based business where you are getting ad revenue, you're selling merchandise, I think that you owe a certain something to the people that are supporting you. So the idea that you don't really owe the audience a whole lot, I disagree with. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't believe you owe the audience personal details about your life. Your personal life is your own. But if it does affect the business, the channel, and that sort of thing, for example, people are clamoring because they believe that the channel's quality has not reflected the amount of money that's being brought in from Patreon. So I think you owe them that explanation. If Kane was fired or forced out or whatever the case is, there needs to be an explanation for those people, because Kane is another one I think a lot of people liked on the channel. Whether that's immediately or later, I think there needs to be, if it were me or my channel, I would post a YouTube video, because you know that they'll find it there, or a long form post, something. I'd post some sort of video explaining the situation, maybe do an episode of The Tech and bring in Wendell and have Logan there, just the two of them, or maybe whoever else wants to join from the crew, and they can talk about what's been happening and where they feel like the breakdowns. Basically just give the audience something, because I think it affects the content that the people are wanting, especially the patrons that are actually paying real money for it. Those are the people that I feel the worst for, because they invested this money hoping for, looking at this channel going, this is a great channel, let's get better content now. And they're not rewarded with better content, and then they're left without much explanation. There's a whole nother laundry list of things going on with people being banned from the forums being shut down, and you can read about all that in Reddit, or a couple of other, probably other videos you can find on YouTube about Tech Syndicate and its implosion, I guess. So that's just sort of my 2 cents on that. I hope Tech Syndicate stays around. I hope Wendell, and this will bring me into the last bit of the show here, I hope Wendell, if he is on his way out, I hope he finds a good landing spot. I hope he's still on YouTube, because I really like Wendell. Really, really informative with some of their videos that they've done in the past. Their Linux videos are awesome. So I really, really do hope that the Wendell sticks around in YouTube on some level. So the last thing I want to point out, and that sort of is a perfect segue into this part, but this tweet, and this is a couple days ago now, September 4th, so this would have been, what, Sunday now? Yeah, Sunday. So on Sunday, someone said, tags Kane and Wendell, make your own channel and I will sub I don't want to be defunded on YouTube. And I'll sub it. Logan and Pistol have always rubbed me the wrong, or rubbed me wrong. If you don't like Logan and Pistol, you know, that's whatever. So then Kane replies to Wendell and the guy that had sent that tweet, just keep an eye out. So it sounds like there might be something in the works maybe down the road coming. I would really like to see that. I know Kane and Wendell are not well, I shouldn't say I know. I imagine Kane and Wendell are not the type that would jump, you know, just dive in the deep end of like just boom, new channel. And I'm sure that they, or again, I imagine they want to, especially Wendell, I imagine wants to get the Tech Syndicate stuff wrapped up before he starts his own channel, and probably wants to know exactly what is going to be going on with that. So, still an evolving situation. Reddit's a great place to look at this. Linus Tech Tips Forum is a great place. The Tech Syndicate forums is a good place to read about this. All Tech Syndicate, especially the forums, are up, and they look like they're not. They don't appear to be censored. Although, if you buy into some of the rumors, and I'll let you read more about people being banned and that sort of thing. But if you buy into that sort of thing, then maybe you don't want to go to the Tech Syndicate forums for the up-to-date information. It might be better to go to other places. But hopefully it gets better. It looks like it's starting to clear up a little bit. The sides seem like they're being civil. It seems like there might be some dialogue between Logan and Wendell. Hopefully they get that cleaned up quickly, and we can get back to watching their videos. Hopefully they come back with a vengeance. And if they do go their separate ways, you know, hopefully then we have two great channels. And hopefully they can collaborate once in a while, because they are really fun to watch when they're together on the tech. So, that is our show for the day. Yay. Tuesdays. It's over. I'm going to try to do this again next Tuesday. Can't guarantee it'll be next Tuesday, but if you like this video, watching it later, or whatever the case is, subscribe button down below. Also, there's like button down there. I am still using, by the way, my G900. That review should be coming probably this coming weekend. I'm going to try to get it filmed and done. So that a little bit of a spoiler with the review. I love the mouse. It's awesome. There are a couple things that I would like to see changed if there was like a second gen, like G901 or something like that, or G1000 mouse. But anyways, we'll save those for the official review. Twitter handles right down below, the at Hoosier Hardware. That's the best place to find me outside of commenting on videos, which typically there's not enough comments because, you know, this is a young channel. So there's usually not tons of comments. Usually you can reach me there. I can't promise that I always respond immediately, but I try to, at least to the best of my ability. So, with no further ado, I think it's time that we roll that intro, outro.